Welcome back to Anderson Acres. Today we're diving into one of my favorite topics, driving mini horses. That's right, these little guys aren't just adorable pasture ornaments. With the right training and the right setup, they can actually pull little carts and give you an entirely new way to enjoy your time with your miniature horse. So sit back, relax, maybe grab a handful of carrots for your miniature, and let's get started. Now, when people first start looking into driving, one of the biggest questions that comes up is, do I need a good coach or do I need a good trainer? And let me tell you, that's a really good question because the two roles are similar but not exactly the same. A coach or an instructor is there to help you with your horse. Okay? They help you. A trainer is there for your horse. So the coach will give you the tools to succeed in whatever your goals are. The trainer, on the other hand, works directly with your horse, not necessarily you. They'll help you, but their primary goal is the horse. So a trainer will teach your horse to drive, and they'll also give you the skills to keep working safely with your new driving partner. Both a coach and a trainer can be really valuable depending on what you and your horse need. And here's where I'll toss in a little bit of humor. If you've ever thought, maybe I'll just train my miniature horse myself. How hard can it really be, right? It's about as easy to teach a toddler to drive a stick shift if your horse has no experience. It's technically possible, but not generally recommended. A trainer gives your horse the foundation, and a coach gives you the confidence and skills to work together safely. So you might only need one of them, but you might need both. So how do you find a good coach or a trainer? That's going to take some research and is very dependent on the area you live in. It's not just a quick Google search where you pick the person with the shiniest website. Okay, it's more than that. You're going to have to ask a lot of people in your area about their experiences. Word of mouth goes a long way in the horse world. If you find someone who seems like a good fit, don't be afraid to ask questions. Ask about their background and their experience and even their credentials, and then check them out. It might feel awkward to ask for references, I know that, but it's worth it, okay? It's okay to be a little nervous about asking for references, but do ask for them. Any professional worth working with will be happy to share some information about past clients. Now, not every client wants to be contacted, so you might not be able to contact all of their previous clients, but they should have a couple people who are willing to talk to you about their experiences with that particular coach or trainer. If you're sending your horse away to another facility for training, it's even more important to do your homework because now you're placing your horse in someone else's hands. Okay? Ask about the standard of care, tour the facility, and really get a feel for how they operate. You want to see where your horse is going to be living, who will be handling him, because that's important, and what daily life will look like while he's under their care. Even if your horse isn't in your direct care, you're still responsible for him. And you're responsible for his well-being. At the end of the day, that's your animal, and you want to know he's being cared for as if he were at home with you. So it is so important here to ask questions to find out how they manage their facility day to day. What kind of interaction will your horse get? Is he going to be ignored for a week and only worked with once a week? That's probably not the best setup. So take some time to learn about the facility you're going to be sending your horse to, because sending a horse away to training is a different kettle of fish entirely. Now, I want to tackle a myth I hear all the time, that driving is somehow different for minis than it is for big horses. The truth? Size doesn't matter. When it comes to driving horses, the basic information is not size specific. Sure, if you're competing in breed specific shows, you may want a miniature horse specific instructor for the finer details. You might want someone who specializes in mini horses, maybe, yeah. But the fundamentals, things like harnessing and safety and communication, driving techniques, these are actually universal. Don't limit yourself on your learning just because your horse happens to stand knee high instead of shoulder high. Okay? So it's definitely worth checking out videos of larger horses training, listening to trainers talk about training horses for driving, even if they don't specifically work with minis. It's definitely worth expanding your research a little bit and making sure you are really familiar with the techniques used in training a driving horse. Honestly, minis can be even more fun to drive because they're manageable for a lot more people because they're smaller, they cost less to feed, they take up less space. You don't need a giant truck or a specialized trailer to move them around. You can do that with much smaller trailers. You don't need the full-size livestock trailer. You know that they're strong and they're capable. And if you've ever seen a mini in harness pulling a cart, you'll also know that they take their job just as seriously as the big guys. The only real difference, you'll get more people pointing and going, "Aww," when you go down the road if you're pulled by a mini. Now, let's talk about one of the most important parts of driving, and that's the harness. The more you can learn about harnesses and how they work, the better your experience is going to be. It's not just about strapping some leather or nylon onto your horse and hoping for the best. Every part of the harness has a purpose, and understanding that purpose means you can use it correctly and adjust it properly. It also means that when something doesn't look right, you'll be able to spot it before it actually graduates to a full-blown problem. So get familiar with the harness and the other equipment before you even put it on your horse. But just as important as the equipment is your communication. Driving is a partnership, okay? You'll both be happier, both you and your horse, if you're communicating well, and you'll have more fun together if you're not constantly butting heads. A well-trained mini who understands what you're asking, and a handler who communicates what they're asking for clearly and consistently, makes for a really rewarding experience. Minis are smart, they will figure it out, but you have to be able to communicate what you want to them. And not being able to do so is a recipe for chaos. Believe me, a determined mini horse with a cart attached can cause just as much chaos as a big horse. So you need to be on top of it. Don't let their small size fool you. They might be small, but they are mighty. So how do you build that communication? Well, lessons and clinics and practice, asking questions, getting help. Learn from everyone you can. Take advantage of opportunities to drive with others. Watch, listen, and don't be afraid to ask why. If someone tells you to adjust your lines a certain way, ask them why. Why do you recommend that? And then hear them out. If someone suggests a particular piece of equipment, ask why. You might want it. You might want it. You won't know until you ask. The more you understand, the better choices you'll make for yourself and your miniature horse. At the end of the day, driving minis is one of those activities that can give you years of enjoyment, but only if you put that foundation in place. A safe, well-trained horse, a well-educated driver, and an understanding of the equipment and the communication necessary between the two of you are really the keys to your success. And honestly, there is nothing more fun than heading out on a drive on a really nice, crisp day with your miniature horse all excited to go. Really, it's your miniature horses clicking along the ground and that little cart rolling smoothly behind. It's a partnership like no other, and it's a heck of a lot of fun. That's about it for me here today at Anderson Acres. Do you drive your minis? Or are you thinking about maybe getting started? Drop a comment below and tell me about your experiences. I would love to hear your stories. And of course, like always, we'll see you tomorrow.